Canto 1. Precipitate Departure. You were not old when you encountered death, visitor on this icy winter night. You were not old as I, alas, am old. But when a man gets old, he knows death's near, and he becomes accustomed to the twilight. He can go back and forth between the worlds, and walk this land of passes through the Alps. The paths that lead from heaven on to hell and purgatory are a single path. That's why I stand before you, Harry, now, and speak with you, console you if I can. I know the story of your sufferings, how you did die in this strange icy land, but found no rest and no abiding city. I too can say I'm home here, yet not quite. I wander in the chilly winter's night, can meet you with a word of consolation, so that you do not feel lost and alone in this cold purgatory which I know. It was a most precipitate departure, when you, in hat and gloves, wrapped in your ulster, boarded the horse and cart with all your luggage, to take you to the station through the snow. The doctors shook their heads and told each other, "Soon he'll be back." And then you sped from view, and came not back. For even as you started upon your journey over land and sea to far-off Dublin, Death had laid his hand upon your shoulder, took you for his own. You'd always known that you'd die soon enough, but did not want to be put in a grave in that high alpine valley's ice and snow. Nor was the money there to send your corpse down the mountain on a bobsled tied into the valley and through all the countries until you reached the edge of Western Ocean, that you might lie at rest with folk and kin. It would have been a waste of money, really. Yet one day as you walked from Dorf to Platz with your young friends, the kindly German cousins, you came to the town graveyard of Davos, and looked upon those graves. So many lost the battle that they'd fought, and in the end took up the horizontal in aeternum. A gravestone or a modest wooden cross told who they were, and when their lives had ended. And though not one of you said anything, all looked to find a vacant plot for you. There was one, too, you found it in a corner. Then you turned round and saw the pair of cousins, who cast a melancholy gaze upon you, for they were thinking what you thought. You smiled shyly at them. You knew what they were thinking. When you announced your plan to leave Davos, the doctors warned, protested, and cajoled. They would accept it if they had admitted that they could do no more for you, and yet they had not given you illusory hopes. The doctors had attempted to keep up by giving you a 6-month sentence then, but you said no. They could no longer hold you. This was a sanatorium, not a prison. The horses cantered off, and their clip-clop now thundered as they took the icy road. The cousins waved you off with sad farewells, and you were gone from the bed-rest cures on winter nights beneath a starry sky, when you felt frozen and could see your breath, alone in darkness. Alone in darkness you had sat, and had the time to think about your art, and the works that you would one day give unto the world below, as soon as in Davos the cure had healed you. You only thought of getting back your health, so you could live the artist's life once more. And so you dutifully did the bed rest cure, like all the others on their balconies, wrapped warmly in their heavy woolen blankets, lying in horizontal state in perfect rows, as bodies in a cemetery plot wait patiently on their day of resurrection. You wonder now, what did it all avail? No angel had appeared from heaven above to sound the trumpet that makes free or wipe away the tear from every eye. In Kublis churchyard in the Prättigau, I've seen the grave of one young luckless German who studied medicine, but was himself a sufferer from tuberculosis, making his way up to Davos, but here he died. That was the 1880s, and he travelled by coach and four, since there was yet no railway. Alas, the young man's state of health denied him the joy of getting to a sanatorium. In Kublis, he lies buried to this day. How many times have I been in Davos? It's just a pleasant day trip with the railway. Although I never was a TB patient, I wanted just to glimpse the magic mountain. At 16 years of age, I'd read the novel by Thomas Mann, relaxing in the garden of Father's house, not far from old Rathfarnham, and felt myself by magic whisked away, off to those alpine valleys in the snow, which I could hardly picture as a youth. How joyous I felt now to see the place, and wander at my will twixt Dorf and Platz. Yet I had seen the high town many times before at last I took the cable railway up to the Schatzalp. There I saw before me the sanatorium I'd been expecting. Not only that, the Schatzalp was just like a university upon a mountain, far, far from here I had for 7 years attended. This was now my magic mountain, the mountain where I'd lived, before my eyes. Davos was Castorp's university. The young man here learned all he had to know. You were much older, Harry, and an artist. It was no university for you. You only wanted healing, then you'd leave, like Joachim, Hans Castorp's soldier cousin. Like him, you may have later halfway guessed this cult of alpine air was just a swindle. You wanted out, but it was just to die. Old Christmas Eve. Ah, bitter chill it was. You saw the horses snorting as their breath rose up in clouds, and heard the tinkling bells as you drove to the station. Dorf or Platz? The main thing was to get you on the train, the narrow gauge track going down the mountain. A puff, a cloud of steam, a whistle blew, and you had quit Davos, gone back to life. The forests and the passes, snowy peaks raced by you, and you had no time to enjoy them, for you were very ill and close to dying. To Klosters, Kublis, down the Prättigau, to Landquart, where you might have changed for Zurich, but you and your companions went to Chur. You needed rest, sleep in a hotel bed. And there, absurd and undesired, came death. It was the very day when 3 wise kings, a blessed star to light them through cold deserts, found what they sought, Jesus in Bethlehem, the newborn King who was the Lord of life. You could not travel on. Death proved much stronger. Now to decide, to bury you in Coire, or send the body on its longest journey, to Paris, on to London, then to Ireland. There was no point. And here there was a will to make a grave for you, There was some room for what would be an honoured resting place among the graves behind the great cathedral.